if they weren't able to, join us today. I know this was a little bit last minute. My name is Katya Spear. I'm the Managing Director of the Mayor's Innovation Project. We are a national peer learning network for mayors and their senior staff focused on advancing equity, sustainability, and democracy. We've been working with cities for more than 20 years on innovative policy and programs to advance clean energy, among other things. And so we're really excited about the opportunity offered by the Municipal Investment Fund, especially considering its ability to help the kind of planning efforts and to scale some of the really great work that you all are already doing in your communities. So we're hosting this call today to talk with Mayor's Innovation Project engaged cities about the opportunity of the Municipal Investment Fund, especially considering its ability to help planning and all the scaling work. This is a multi-phase effort from the Coalition for Green Capital and ICLEI to support public-private partnerships to accelerate deployment of clean energy projects. So our goal here today is to make sure you're aware of the opportunity, what's eligible, to answer your questions about it, and to offer our kind of collective and individual support if you want to move forward with an application, which is a pretty short-term plan, right? So it was due, I think, last week, and they extended the deadline to March 5th. We'll hear a little bit more about that. So it is a great opportunity. It is a short-term opportunity, and so we're trying to be here to support you today if you want to move forward. So we have some great folks on the call today to offer their expertise and support, including Jessica from Coalition for Green Capital, folks from Quantified Ventures who've been working closely with green banks, and from Inclusive Prosperity Capital, James, who many of you have spoken to, who can help think through innovative project types. For our time today, we'll spend about 20 minutes sharing information about the opportunity, and then really open it up to questions from you, discussion with you. Feel free to keep questions in the chat if you have them as we go and you don't want to lose them, or to save them for the second half of the hour where we'll just dig into questions and discussion. So first, just to kick us off with his thoughts and support, I'd like to welcome the director of the Mayor's Innovation Project and its headquarters, the High Road Strategy Center, Joel Rogers.
Hi, everybody, and sorry about the disorder of my home study, which you're probably looking at with alarm right now. All I want to say is that the Mayor's Innovation Project and the High Road Strategy Center have been in the business of urban use of clean energy, and the cleanest form of energy is energy conservation, avoided demand through retrofits and better organization of your local grid connections and a variety of other things, more or less forever. We were the people. I was the person who got Russ Feingold. You remember Russ Feingold, a former senator in Wisconsin, to put in in I don't know, the federal code, whatever, but the energy efficiency block grants. This goes back to, I think, the late 70s or something. And then we were the ones who devised in the early years of the Obama administration a whole plan for Milwaukee to do a comprehensive retrofit of its building, the Milwaukee Energy Efficiency, in which we would combine on-bill financing with a bunch of community outreach. We ran headlong into opposition from the local utility on the on-bill financing, and a very disappointing to me bow down to them by the then governor. But we've been in this business. But Milwaukee Energy Efficiency still exists, and it has retrofitted several thousand homes. We wanted to get the entire building stock of Milwaukee organized around it. We failed at that, but they're still proud of the program, and I guess justly so. But James Doyle's cave to Gene Klappa, who came to We Energies from the Southern Company, which sort of says it all, and said, "Oh no, this is way too complicated for us to put financing on the bill." While they do everything else to consumers all the time. Anyway, I'm getting caught in my own history here. The point is, Cows, which was the former name of the High Road Strategy Center, has been doing this for about 35 years, more or less as long as I've been at Madison. And we are able to, given our range of experience, not just in Milwaukee, but in cities all over the country, to give you advice on missteps to avoid and utilities to watch out for and who you could trust and who you can't trust, blah, blah, blah. We are happy to provide some sort of advisory service to any application that goes in. And I would ask you just to keep the mayor's innovation project going and our involvement with you going, just write us into your grant in some way. Katya can tell you how to do that. You may feel you've got all the technical assistance you could possibly need locally. But I can pretty much assure you that we know a bunch of stuff that your local people don't yet know. And I'd encourage you simply to build us into your applications. Um, like well, I could go on, but I won't. Let me just leave it there, Katya.
Thank you, Joel. And so first we're going to kick off with Jessica for Coalition for Green Capital, who's going to tell us, I think, a little bit about your work there, and then also just kind of kick us off with what is the opportunity, what are the goals? I know this is a multi-phase effort, and right, the city needs to be the lead applicant. So can you talk to us, Jessica, about a little of those details? And if you have anything you want to share, I will make sure you're a co-presenter so you can do that.
That's great. Okay, let me get set up then. Sent a request to you for sharing. All right. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to today's presentation. All right. So the Municipal Investment Fund, I'm Jessie Buendia. I'm Chief Impact Officer at the Coalition for Green Capital, and calling in from Sacramento, California. I married into California, though. I'm originally from Iowa, and so a Midwest girl. So, hello to folks who are here from my region. I'm going to do a very, very brief overview of the presentation that we actually presented at our kickoff on the 6th of January. And so we'll cover the various phases of the Municipal Investment Fund, as well as some actual also updates related to the Coalition for Green Capital's review process for projects. Let me just jump in. So the Coalition for Green Capital, we've been around for a decade. Our mission is to use public-private investments to accelerate the transition to clean air, clean water, and clean, cheap power. And this has always been for the goal of building an American clean power platform that's developed by, for, and with communities. So that includes all of you. We're a 501c3 that was capitalized by the US EPA, and we have offices in New York, Washington, D.C., and Boulder. We primarily work on direct investments with project developers and private sector investors. But with this opportunity that we received from the US EPA, we're really excited about broadening our scope to all 50 states. What does that mean? So as an investor, what we do is our investment deals are largely for projects of $50 million and above. We also do pursue co-investment opportunities of smaller sizes with our network partners. We have helped build a set of network partners in states across this country. Not all 50, because that is our long-term vision and goal. But we do, again, invest in projects of 10 million to 50 million as co-investors. And any smaller deals, we tend to refer to our network partners. The focus of our investment portfolio is on the following project areas that are associated with the NCIF award. So distributed energy generation and storage, zero-emission transportation, zero-emission buildings, and then other that could include grid-related investments, clean water infrastructure, wind, etc. Our project itself, for us to be able to fund the project, it has to be able to prove that it can reduce or avoid greenhouse gas emissions and other air pollutants, deliver additional benefits such as jobs, energy savings, and improved health, may not have otherwise been financed, mobilizes private capital. This is a really important one. And then again, it supports commercial technologies. We, as an investor, look for returns on investment that will reflect the investment risk. We have a really strong focus on projects that will allow the crowding in of private sector capital that can help enable market impacts well beyond, again, the initial capital. So it really is, the funding source that we have is uniquely set up to try to unlock private capital in places around the country. And so, again, working at the edge of what that private market investment is. Our network itself is the statewide green banks that exist in a variety of different states. This presentation actually has to be updated because as of this week, we have a lot more new green bank partners across the country. But our long-term goal as an organization is to create one self-sufficient green bank in every state that can help with financial inclusion and economic opportunities, again, for communities across all 50 states. This is how we started. This is our network map, but actually we have brought on an additional 20 entities. And so we will actually be able to, I think, have our updated presentation on our website of the places that there are green banks, who the green bank entities are that we're partnering with for this group to follow up with. And so stay tuned. We'll have that ready for you in a week. And the Municipal Investment Fund. So the Municipal Investment Fund is really the opportunity to be able to partner with many of you on this call, state and local governments, who we believe, are the cornerstone of helping, again, accelerate this vision for a cleaner energy platform. It really is a program that's designed about concentrating both investment as well as local and economic and community development to try to achieve sort of goals that hopefully, in the collective will be larger than the sum of its parts. And so what this means is that, as we launch the Municipal Investment Fund at the beginning of our program execution, we are really going to provide a small set of funds upstream during phase one so that communities across 50 states who participate in the phase one of the program will be able to have resources to do sort of these public-private partnership plans and set you guys up for success to be able to pursue our larger capital funds. And so it is a small, mid-sized program initiative. So communities, small, mid-size, where there is a smaller amount of resources that are available for these kind of large-scale planning efforts, as well as fewer kind of climate capital dollars. We are committed to funding 2 communities in each state, as well as up to 4 grants that will go to either tribes, the District of Columbia, or local governments in federal territories. Please note, it does not mean that a tribe cannot be one of your 2 communities in your state. We just wanted to ensure, again, that we have participation on both fronts. What does it mean to then participate in this program? You get connected to CGC's national and regional projects, as well as investment, co-investment, capital introduction opportunities, technical assistance, and pre-development market building grants, as well as a promotion for national audiences of sort of your public-private partnership plans. Where are we at in our process is that we did our call for proposals on the 6th. We had an extension to March 5th, but please note that this is still right around the corner. So we really encourage you to look into this opportunity and make sure to put it on your to-do list. We will then notify in April the 104 communities that are selected. They will work on developing this public-private partnership plans to CGC. The ones that are ready will be able to submit right away to participate in the first cohort of the communities that get selected for this concentrated investments. We will then try to have these cohorts available every year for the next several years. To learn more about our Municipal Investment Fund, you can actually go to our website. But in addition, we have actually brought on an implementation partner, ICLEI USA. They've been around for 32 years, again, helping local and state governments across the country in all 50 states to be able to, again, do the local climate and clean energy planning that's needed for the success of this program. They actually are our implementation partner, so you will be applying to them to become a qualified community, which is this phase one of the $250,000 in market building grants. It's really a partnership opportunity, so we strongly encourage you to actually partner with a not-for-profit entity who can then go into a grant agreement with ICLEI. That is for to set both of you all up for success. ICLEI as a nonprofit entity and grant administrator, that you actually have a not-for-profit partner, preferably a green bank, that can apply with you to again be the ones accountable for the fulfillment of the activities. You do have to have a LIDAC designation as well as be registered by sam.gov, and more details about that are again on our website in the RFP. The application component for this phase is very, very short. We actually worked with a number of different sustainability directors and managers across the country to time them on what it would take to be able to put this together. We hope it doesn't take more than one day in order to pull it together. What will take time is finding the right partners. But it is a questionnaire, again, a grant budget, and then this narrative. What are we looking for? We're looking for, again, communities and partnerships that are excited about the following activities: building a roadmap for these public-private partnership plans to implement community-wide clean energy goals. This is an important restriction related to the market building dollars that we are given by EPA, is that they can't fund specific projects. They have to fund larger community-wide goals and plans. And so again, the details of that are in the RFP, but other activities include stakeholder engagement, the sort of origination of the pipeline of projects for your community, work around policy interventions to help with origination, of the actual pipeline, coalition building with banks, CBOs, nonprofits, labor utilities, private investors, and just creating an enabling environment to achieve these community goals, attract capital to clean energy projects, and reduce costs. Here, this is, I encourage you to really scan the ICLEI USA website or Google it. There's a lot of resources and information that we've developed here for communities who are interested, specifically including an expression of interest form. That's very, very helpful for us to just start the process to make sure that you are being notified of updates related to the program. I encourage you, if you are even have an inkling of interest in this, please, please, please send us that interest form so we can actually begin communicating with you in a more detailed manner. And then please note, after ICLEI gets into contract with the 104 communities, a subset will be able to then, who are ready, be able to compete for the larger opportunity for $2 million in grant or other services and support. This is the concentrated investment that we're talking about to help implement your public-private partnership plan. We know that everybody is at different levels of readiness, and so some people are more ready to go than others, and we've accounted for that, in our cohort model. The actual submission information for that public-private partnership plan is also online, Appendix A, Appendix B, and Appendix C. We hope it feels a little bit like almost like a worksheet that you have to go through from school, where it explains all the various different steps along the way. You do not need to have all the information filled out for Appendix A, B, and C in order to apply for phase one of the process. All you need for phase one is what I described before: the narrative, the budget, and then the questionnaire. You do have to, we reinforce this, is that you do have to be able to get into a grant agreement with ICLEI, within 30 days. And so that's why it's really important. We encourage you to consider finding a not-for-profit partner to partner with in order to apply. Let me see. The last thing I just want to note is that this is really important. We have an open solicitation. So many of you are like, well, I have a single project I want to work on and we are ready to go and we want to apply for capital and investment. We are actually have an open solicitation, CGC, and we review on a weekly basis. And so if you are sort of ready to go to be able to request the various different kinds of uh, debt instruments that we have available at CGC, please, you do not have to wait for phase one of the Municipal Investment Fund or phase two. That's really about the grant support for this. The capital actually goes through a separate process, and one that people can actually submit to today. So don't lose out on time. And here's some more information, and it has very specific guidelines. A lot of them are flow down measures from the EPA itself. So the details of which, again, are available on our website. And then I think that's it. So we have, thank you for giving me that time to walk through this together. And we excited about the opportunity to hear that maybe some of your own communities might consider applying.
Thank you, Jessica. I know we want to get to James and to Matthew in a moment here, but I do want to pause for any questions specifically about the technical aspects of the application or the opportunity for Jessica. And first, I want to go to Katie from Boise in the chat here. Katie, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my video to work and it's not working. So I don't know if you can hear me. And this is a very technical question, but we are ready to apply. We have everything ready, but I just can't find the agreement documents that are supposed to be like, and
Yes.
our partner won't apply without them. So I've emailed a couple times and they keep saying
Yeah.
they're coming, but like I don't know how are other communities just like saying they've read them or how's this working?
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yes, I am. And, I apologize because we have the grant agreements, to be perfectly honest, the grant agreement is a different part of the code, legal code, than financial assistance is. And so as we've been developing this, we've had to interface with the EPA just for consistency, as well as then with ICLEI's legal department. It's taken longer than we thought it was going to, but it should be live. We have final versions this week, and we apologize. We know that obviously these are all incredibly important documents for you to be able to review, to consent that that's something that you're able to execute. And so I am so sorry. And again, Katie has been attending our
Sorry, everyone.
no, it's so great. We've had twice a week office hours made available, and for the all stars like Katie and everyone, like they're just like help us help you and give us these documents. And we apologize for the slowness, but we are over the hump, and so you should be they should be made available very soon.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. I need to make sure I'm like the point person for us and I don't want it
I
to be like
know.
user error on my end. So
I
thank
know.
you.
I apologize for the long-term planners like myself. This would be such a headache.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Anybody else have questions about the Municipal Investment Fund or how Coalition for Green Capital is moving here? Okay. Thank you, Jessica. I hope you can stick around because I think there's going to be a little bit of discussion here. I want to go quickly and briefly to Matthew. I know you've been working with the state green banks in your role, and I wish you could just tell us a little bit about the work that you do. And I know we talked a little about where there might be state green bank partners that are looking for more communities to work with, or anything you see as an opportunity in this space for the communities that are on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm happy to speak to that. So hi everyone. Hi Jesse, good to see you again. So I'm Matthew Carney. I'm based down in New Orleans, but I work for a firm called Quantified Ventures, which is based in Washington, D.C. We're a longtime partner of CGC's, and working with green banks all over the country. So I'm a senior director here and I lead our green bank team. And we do work with green banks in a wide variety of ways, but generally, what our primary focus has been over the last couple of years has been working with green banks around the country really on two things. One is helping them develop financing programs, and thinking about the types of projects they could finance, what that would look like, who their community partners could be, how that fits into their overall portfolio, et cetera. And then building pipeline. So working with those green banks to actually go out, identify projects, bring them in, make sure that they have a credible claim for, what they would be using capitalization dollars for. And when the Municipal Investment Fund was released, we basically started working with folks in kind of two ways. So one was connecting municipalities to green banks. So we had some municipalities and other folks we talked to who had said, hey, this came across our desk either through the Mayor's Innovation Project or elsewhere. We're really interested in it. We saw that one of the requirements is applying with a nonprofit partner and, preferably a green bank, as Jesse mentioned. We would love to do that, but we don't know. Is there a green bank in our state? Is there a green bank in our region? Like, who should we be doing work with? So, kind of connecting in that direction, folks, was one of the things we were doing. Because again, as Jesse said, the actual application for this shouldn't take more than a day. It's really a pretty light lift. A lot of the work going on in the run up to the application process is building those connections. It's just making sure that folks know about it and then are able to find effective partners. Because again, what we've then done in the other direction is talk to green banks who have said, hey, we would really love to kind of pursue this municipal investment fund. I don't really know what municipalities we might be interested in partnering with. Who has capacity to do this, who has interest in it. And we've been helping those green banks also go out and look for partners. So again, that's kind of what we've been focusing on in this phase. I know ICLEI and CGC have also said that they would be providing technical assistance on the back end. And so we are QV is a consulting firm that focuses on, helping fund and finance environmental projects across the country. That's sort of our mandate. But being a private firm, we would be getting procured. We wouldn't be sort of written in advance to the project team, but we would be later on down the road hoping to be one of the technical assistance partners, that is, would be a partner of CGC and ICLEI, and then be able to work with the whole cohort, or any member of the cohort that's selected through phase one. So, the way we think about it is down the road, we would love to work with whatever, municipalities, green bank partnerships, et cetera, to actually do the work that's getting proposed. But right now, our main priority is just getting as many folks in through that door because it is a great opportunity, but it is a tight turnaround, and there is the work that needs to get done just to make sure folks can take advantage of that opportunity. And that's what we've been just trying to do now. So I'll pause there. Happy to answer any questions or just turn it back over and go to the next speaker.
Thanks, Matthew. Inviting any questions for Matthew, or especially around this question of like, do you have questions about whether a partner or a nonprofit partner that you are considering would qualify, or if there is a green bank you might work with, or any questions to that effect for Matthew or the folks here? All right. Thank you. I want to wrap up then with James, who we've been working with and talking with for a long time. James, I know you and Joel go way back, and who was able to connect with some of the Mayor's Innovation Project cities at our recent winter meeting to talk with a little bit about this opportunity. And James, you've been doing work to kind of connect the dots on financing for communities for a long time. So I wonder if you could just wrap us up by sharing what you think the opportunity is in this fund.
No, I appreciate this, Katja. And again, like I work at an organization called Inclusive Prosperity Capital, which has sort of been part of the green bank world for a long time. But I think a lot of it is, frankly, connecting the dots between folks and trying to push people into this opportunity. I think, my background is in municipal finance, right? And obviously, I think as Jessica focused on, there are leverage ratios and other opportunities to do this. But I think, the approach and my colleague Alex, former colleague, but we're working together on a lot of stuff is who's on this call. We've been very focused on how can you actually think about not just singular project, but really how does this fit into a larger ecosystem of projects and a roadmap and how this can all work and what are the sort of data-driven approaches that a lot of communities can take to do this? Because frankly, like if you think about it, there's been a study out of New York's Energy Research Department that said about 25 to 40% of average project costs are actually soft costs. So the question is, as communities are looking to do stuff, how can you actually look to create scalable pipeline? So you're not just doing one building, but you're looking at the archetypes of buildings that exist in your community so that you can do stuff and create the leverage ratios. As I said, my background's in municipal finance, which finances the schools, which finances the affordable housing, which finances this and has done this. It's a $4.7 trillion market. And so it's how can we connect the sources of capital that CGC is offering to this larger way that communities already fund themselves? Because I think the idea here is that we can do this. And so how is it that we actually can more effectively, and this is what Alex and I have worked a lot on, is how do you actually stack resources together, bring capital sources together so that you can look at, hey, we're not looking to actually overhaul you finance it. We're going to augment how you finance things so that we can actually work. And I think, to Matthew's point on the green banks, a lot of that is working with saying, hey, here's a local green bank that may have access to other resources. Or, hey, in some states, the green bank is actually the state housing finance agency where they have a finance program to leverage this. So I think there's a lot of ideas of how can you actually take these approaches to like look within and really focusing, maybe it's not for today's conversation, getting the application, because I think that's an important part of the dots, but really when on the other side of this, thinking through what are the ways that we can sort of take a data-driven approach to ultimately determine pipeline. And where we've been successful, for example, in California, there was an affordable housing project that was stuck because there were incentives that they could access to decarbonize their building, but they didn't have the capital up front. And the whole point is that what we did is we were able to bring in, 5 CDFIs, for example, that were able to generate term sheets that then could be, this is pre-GGRF money, that can create leverage and bring capital to them in ways that sitting underneath all of your communities are other sources of capital as well. So kind of how is it that you can think about going through this process of connecting the dots? Because at the end of the day, this may be just, not a green moment perhaps, but it's a better buildings moment. It's a better infrastructure moment. It's a better transportation moment. And especially how do we impact and positively impact a lot of the communities that we know have been disadvantaged historically by driving capital into them with this new sources of capital. And so I just think it's a tremendous opportunity that CGC has to do this work to support planning, because again, no one flips a switch and they're like, oh, I know where all I know where all this stuff is. I can finance this tomorrow. We know coming out of state and local government myself and having, I know that government has a gazillion things that they're thinking about. And this is an opportunity, a really refreshing moment to have planning resources, to work with people like Quantified Ventures, with Coalition for Green Capital, to support like this idea of like, we want to make this market work. And so it's taking this moment to really think about how is it, and even thinking about similarities as this comes together. I mean, when we first started talking about this, the concept of like a northern climate working together to say that, guess what? We're all going to have similar measures that are going to go into our buildings, or we have similar needs in certain states. So I just think it's more thinking about how we can, and regularly this is complete, like what I love about the Mayor's Innovation Project is it brings communities and cities together to recognize that they're actually more similar than different. And I think that's what this resources can help do, is help folks come together on the planning side to recognize that these are resources, and there's behind those resources are more resources to really help think about the way that you can strategically focus accessing those resources. And that's really the work that Alex and I have been doing, and other IPC is focusing on, like, how can we take this approach of using data, of using our similarities, of using these other financial resources that exist out there in the world and bring them together and leverage the 250 to the 2 million to, the $2 trillion, $4.7 trillion municipal market or other markets, which frankly, that this is just, I think, a tremendous opportunity. And I'm just, thank you, to the Mayor's Vintage Project, obviously CGC and QV for sort of getting on this call, because I think it's like the more and better we can spread the gospel about communities working together and using these sort of centralized infrastructure like CGC is massively important as we think about, like, we don't need any more low paying fast food jobs in this country. We need high paying, clean energy jobs. And I think this is an opportunity to rethink about the economic, the workforce, all of these aspects, which frankly are part of this equation, which I think is really important, as Jesse highlighted in her presentation. So that's what I want to say. And we're here obviously to support, but I think this is, thank you to CGC, frankly, for this opportunity and looking to municipal partners as a way to do it, as a way to create this opportunity in the US. So.
Thank you, James. And reiterating that thanks to Jessica and CGC and all of our speakers today. I guess I just want to summarize quickly. So there's this opportunity that closes in a little under a month to apply for this planning opportunity to 2 communities in each state. Jessica, that's $250,000 of initial planning investment. And the city is the lead applicant with a Green Bank partner. So James and I, yeah, go ahead.
Just to clarify, it's a not -profit, not for profit. It can't be a for-profit partner, and we are encouraging and prefer, again, a green bank. Not every green bank is going to be available for this opportunity necessarily, because some green banks are actually the state themselves, and so I love that James is on this call, because I think any green lending partner or local entity, like even the Mayor's Innovation Project, that could actually assemble and bring project expertise, technical assistance to this work for this first phase, could be kind of a qualified partner. And so I just want to clarify that it's not just limited to green banks.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica. And Katie.
Yeah, I'll just say we don't have any green banks in our state.
Right.
And so we found a local partner that has relationships with qualified lenders and can be a lot more nimble with the disbursement of these potential funds. So
I told you, Katie's like our all-star.
No, and I mean it's and we don't even have like a pipeline. We don't even have ideas of what the market building activities will be. So that's what we would plan to use the money for, is this like assessing the next steps to create market building activity. So I encourage people to apply. We are really excited about the opportunity. So.
And by the way, the community lender aspect is also really important in community, like as folks, because they have also access to other resources from different buckets. And if you just think about, for example, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, right? They are not actually originating their own loans, right? They are looking to community partners and community lenders to actually originate loans on their behalf. And I think this idea to coordinate on sort of standardization, productization, thinking, that's all very important. But I think the idea of, like, as they say, everything in real estate is local. And I think this kind of same thing applies here of like, what buildings need in Boise is very different than what buildings or infrastructure is needed in Sarasota, Florida, or other places. So I just think this idea of the way CGC's focusing on bringing partners together is a really important aspect of ultimately creating a market around this, because this is about, we don't have the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund was $27 billion. We have a trillion-dollar problem that we need to fix in the United States. And I think these are like the really important down payment that CGC is making as part of developing this market in the US.
Thank you. Others on the call.
Well said, James.
Others on the call, question for anyone about any aspect of the Municipal Investment Fund or the Coalition for Green Capital's work?
Yeah, Kyle, I assume you'll be sending Jessica's presentation out. My director of strategic initiatives had an emergency and couldn't be on the call today. She's the one who will run through this. I know we have a 5-year plan for zero emission for our city buses, transportation. That's something we've been discussing for a couple of years now. We want to get fully converted by 2030. And we have some other stuff too around the city. We want to add more solar panels and other green energy types, yes. But she couldn't be here, so if we get that presentation, that'd be helpful.
Looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jessica just
We'll
threw it.
definitely send it out to you.
Yep. Yep, we'll send some resources out post call. And Jessica, any just like initial response to what Ron was saying on like zero emission transportation? I know that's one of the kind of allowable expenses, but any other thoughts on that approach?
Yeah, so the other thing I should also is and I'm like, now I should probably have a slide on this is that orientation on what is actually in the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. So there are these 3 NCIF awardees, which are the national funders, of which the Coalition for Green Capital is one of them. Climate United is another, and then Power Forward is another. And so these 3 entities are financial institutions that will be able to provide services to the entire country. And then there are CCIA awardees that are the network partners, that again are amazing networks of financial institutions who have then green lending lines, and they're available in different parts of the country also. And then ideally, we would love them all to begin to work together. But I say this in a long way to say we're really excited for the Municipal Investment Fund to be what we call like radical collaboration amongst the GGRF entities, because the actual amount of funding that's going to us is still very small based on and compared to what is actually needed broadly. So to the question about the specific plans with transportation, zero emission transportation is a qualified project. It's a portfolio project type for both CGC as well as Climate United. I've also heard you all speak about zero emission buildings. And so the building space is largely Power Forward, that they have a singular award focused on buildings, and they have an incredibly all-star team of affordable housing finance experts over there. And Climate United is also a larger part of their building types. We do less buildings because the 2 other partners are really focused on buildings. Our CGC fund is largely around the first category, which is energy generation and distribution. But please note, the Municipal Investment Fund is not limited to just what CGC, the CGC financing, is going to be focused on. It really is intended to be that capacity building support so that you can begin to put all your project pipeline in one place. And then we see it as like the starting point of being able to say, hey, who can fund this part of the plan? Who can fund this part of the plan? Who can fund? And you can actually start. We've designed the program to not be so heavy on the plans itself. The reason we have a turnaround for phase 2 that's so quick is because we want you to do the best that you can, but eventually it's an iterative process. So you kind of like the buzzer goes off for the SATs, you put your pencil down and then take your plan and go start talking to people about it. Get in front of all the new GGRF awardees, whether it's CCIAs or the NCIFs or any other lender in your community, that so they begin to socialize what these, again, priorities are that you have, and they can help you with the connection as to like what the next step is for financing. So like we said, CGC, the thing that like wakes us up every day is thinking about like a reliable grid, national grid, and that's kind of the origin story for us. And that's why we care so much about renewable energy and infrastructure generation and those pieces. But the Municipal Investment Fund is not limited to just that. It really is limited to all 3 of the categories. And it's supposed to be that down payment that just gets you guys started in your local market to begin weaving these financial institution partners, that you're going to need in order to finance the plans that you've put a lot of energy what I was like the promises you've made to your communities, right? To be able to translate them, get them operationalized, and get them financed is what we're really passionate about.
Thank you, Jessica. I know Katie from Boise has mentioned that the office hours are really useful. Do you have more upcoming office hours?
Yeah, we have them
What's
2 days a week, and so the link that I just sent you is to the Municipal Investment Fund page on the ICLEI website, and if you scroll down to office hours, you can sign up for any office hours that are coming up, but they'll be available twice a week until the deadline, March 5th.
Excellent.
And there's a lot of other resources. So if you missed office hours or are looking to see presentations, to generate the questions that you want to bring to your office hours, there's a lot of resources on the website for that too.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else I see Bloomington and Moline on the call. Do either of you have any questions you want to make sure we answer, or project ideas that you wanted to an opportunity to chat about today?
Hi, Dawn from Moline. Yeah, we are it is a really tight turnaround, so trying to develop something is pretty difficult, but we're thinking about it. And with the extension, so we were thinking, we're working on, we're a part of this expert match program with NREL, and we're looking at assessing all of our government buildings, parking lots, things like that for implementation of solar development. And we've got also a climate action plan in the works and a pretty big project by the river that will incorporate some clean energy. The water treatment plant is on the site. And so I guess just trying to figure out what do you think of those ideas would be best?
Yeah. Oh, this is a great. I'm actually really happy when people ask me this question, and my answer is you don't have to know at this point. I say throw it all in there because right now we're trying to get people to take a few steps back and just look at, as was mentioned today, what are all the opportunities within your community that can qualify for these categories? You don't have to know if they're like they fit every single objective. Like that's what the resources will help you figure out. But you just have to know, what you want to do. What are your like larger goals? What are the kinds of projects that are percolating that you think we'd be able to take advantage of? And then again, throw it all in there in your narrative so that somebody who's reviewing it can kind of see the breadth of the activities that you're looking for. Again, you don't have to have all those answers figured out right now. We get a lot of people trying to do like the phase 2 response in order to apply for phase 1. And that's why we're giving you resources so that you can assemble the right stakeholders, get them aligned, get resources in place, to be able to do the work for phase 2, the actual plan. So again, encourage you. You're probably further than you think you are at this point. And like I said, the actual work is going to involve finding your not-for-profit partner that you want
Is
to.
that separate from the Green Bank?
And it could be, so Illinois' Green Bank is the state of Illinois.
Yeah, I
So
have a meeting scheduled with them on, I think, Thursday or Friday with the Climate Bank, the Illinois Climate Bank.
great. Yeah.
So yeah, I have that on
They're totally awesome partners and they'll give you really good guidance. For the state green banks, what we've encouraged them to do, just so you know from our end, is to say, hey, like, please show your willingness to be able to be mentioned in the application, that like Moline went and met with them, knows what the resources are what are available. But actually, like, they're not going to help you with what we're trying to achieve right now, which is to have a not-for-profit partner that can receive resources sort of on your behalf and do the reporting and the accountability and help you get your plans together with the least amount of, again, the government sort of longer processes in place. And it sets up ICLEI for success because ICLEI itself is a not-for-profit partner that has experience granting to other not-for-profit partners. And so, really, we're really trying to figure out how to bring the resources to help support and augment your work without having to, I worked in government for many, many, many years, almost 2 decades, and it takes $250,000 to receive money and then dispense money. So again, we're really trying to make sure that these funds help support you and augment, your capacity to do this work while also having the least amount of
Red tape.
process involved. Yeah. So we, in those situations, we do encourage you to identify like a third entity that's not the Green Bank that could actually help you with facilitating the grant itself.
Okay, and then one more question about that. Then is it just like the city or the nonprofit that has to have sam.gov, or is it both?
Yeah, this is awesome. Also, a huge update from the extension is the other big piece is that your not-for-profit entity could apply on your behalf, meaning they can actually submit the application, but you have to be, it's considered a co-applicant, the not-for-profit, and you have to be one of the, obviously the lead applicant because the work, you're the beneficiary, right? Your community is the beneficiary of this grant. But they can actually do the submission on your behalf, which has been tremendously helpful, I think, for a lot of folks who, we recognize the program was designed recognizing that there's not enough capacity on the ground to support, our local government champions who are trying to move this work forward. And so, yeah, it is really, I think that that's going to be, for them to be able to submit on your behalf will help facilitate and streamline things for you.
But if they don't have sam.gov, but
yes, they have to have sam.gov.
municipality, okay, but so if only the municipality has sam.gov, then the municipality will have to apply.
Yeah, of course. The municipality can always apply if you end up partnering with somebody that doesn't have sam.gov. We encourage you to find a partner. This is why we're like, the actual submission is not hard. It's like identifying the right partner that you want to help do this work.
I have someone in mind. I'm not sure if they have sam.gov.
And they have to be in good standing too. So they're government funds. And so you get reviewed based on your good standing with the federal government. And so just make sure, you ask those questions on the front end because they'll come eventually, like in the after submission, as ICLEI reviews, they'll have to confirm that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck, and you're in a great state. There's a lot of infrastructure in Illinois, which is great. And also, by the way, my family's from Davenport, so lots of Moline memories.
Quad cities.
Yep.
Thank you for the question, Dawn. And thanks, Jessica.
Oh, one thing I also want to say before we leave is that what's exciting to me about this program is that you're only in competition with other communities in your state. So Moline is not competing with, DC. DC is not competing with, California. And we really designed the program to sort of meet communities where they're at, in that process, knowing that Indiana is a different market than California is or New York is. And so, again, like many people are like, am I competitive? You're probably more competitive than you think you are. So.
Thanks, Jessica. We are very close to time. Joe, I want to thank you for joining us from Culver City and just let you know that we will share out notes and anything else related. We have lots of links and a few notes to share with you, and I can share the recording too, so you and your team can look at it. Before we go, any pressing questions from either Bloomington or Culver City that you want to make sure to ask before we get off the call?
Thank you for letting me know that you're going to share those documents and stuff in the recording. That's really appreciative. We just had a different time zone here, and I wasn't told about the meeting until just a few moments ago, which is why I joined late. So I'll review those and let you know if I have any questions.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Joe. Any last pressing questions?
I have a question for Jessica. Is it possible to be more charming than you?
Oh, is it possible to be more charming than you? That was the sweetest way to end a call.
Good. All right. No, you're just terrific.
Oh,
Boy,
thank you.
if all program people from the feds or connected to the feds were like you would be a
Oh.
very different country. Okay, great. I think we're done, Katya.
We are done. Everybody has been terrific this morning, afternoon. So thank you for joining from all the time zones. We appreciate your time. Jessica, thank you so much for the opportunity and for being with
Absolutely.
us here
Thank you
today. I'll follow up with you. I have everything saved, so I'll send out some notes and some links and let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.